And that's blocked by Turner. Shot clock down to 4. Heller in a deep 3, and he drills it.
Arians finds Warren. Here's a long 3.
Was in, now Duarte, another 3.
And welcome to episode 13 of the Pace and Forward podcast. Apologies for the week's delay. We had a couple other things going on, but of course, we were intending to release an episode around last Monday, but things got in the way. Real life got in the way. But that's neither here nor there. The NBA draft is over. Free agency is just getting started. Welcome everybody. My name is Cammy, the house that Cammy built, and I'm joined as always by my co-host.
What's up, everybody? It's Dom.
And we got another guest here today, another Pacers fan. Please introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? I'm Tyler.
He said he's Tyler because the fucking thing cut out. But, anyways, let's get into this. So the NBA draft was 2 weeks ago on Thursday. And it basically, the top 4, top 5 went just about how I expected it to be. You know, of course, what was his name? Apollo went first to the Magic. People were expecting Jabari Smith to go to the Magic.
No, wait, hold on.
What's up?
You said it went how people expected it to, but Paulo went first, and then I guess Chet going second was expected.
Yeah, I was about to say that people had Paulo going third and Jabari going first, but the Magic, I guess, swerved people and they picked Paulo first. Chet went second to the Thunder as expected, and third was Jabari to the Rockets. Number 4 was Keegan Murray to the Kings, which was pretty surprising because people wanted them to take Jaden Ivey, and people are already chalking that up as another failed draft pick for the Kings, but I think that's a bit harsh. I think they should wait a little for Keegan Murray, ignoring what I've said about him before. Number 5 was the Pistons. Speaking of number 4, we actually tried to trade up to get that number 4 pick, and we were willing to throw Malcolm Brogdon into the trade, but nothing went through. The Kings kept number 4. Number 5 to the Pistons was Jaden Ivey. Unfortunately, we've been wanting Ivey for a while. You know, ever since the Pacers started to lose games at the beginning of the year, everybody was like, the tank for Jaden Ivey starts now. Everybody wanted to get him. Unfortunately, the Pistons did pick him, which was just a great pick, I think. But that did open the door for Indiana to get what I'm assuming was their favorite prospect in the draft, which was Arizona's Benedict Mathurin. And he was actually on my top 2-3 list, on my list of like top 2-3 people that I wanted the Pacers to select because he's basically exactly what we're looking for, a wing player that can play like shooting guard, small forward, can score, has good on-ball defense, and he's going to fit in perfectly in the backcourt next to Tyrese. I know Dom felt some kind of way about that pick. Tell him what you thought.
Well, first of all, don't throw me under the bus like that. I like the pick.
I would never do that, Dom. I would never do that. You'd never do that to me, and I'd never do that to you.
He was top 3 for me. I mean, he averaged 17, 5, and 2 in college.
Yes,
he was obviously top 3 of the people that I wanted. I wanted it to go Jaden Ivey, and then Shaedon Sharpe, and then Benedict Mathurin.
Yeah,
but we
that's about
we ended up going with a more complete player at the time. And I'm perfectly fine with him. And he's already, there's already shades of him having like that dog in him. So
yeah. Speaking of having that dog, what do you say about LeBron? You know,
he said he wanted to test LeBron. He said first game that he plays against LeBron, he wants to see how good he is because nobody's better than him. So.
And I remember you saying that you were kind of skeptical about the pick, but when you saw that, you changed your mind.
Yeah, because we've never had a player with like any kind. I mean, let's get for real. We've never had any player with any sort of grit in them. there's no really like Pat Bev kind of player that wants to come to Indiana. So maybe we found that in
Matherin.
Benedict Mathurin. You never know. Only time will tell, but the writing's on the wall so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think Matherin's gonna be absolutely great for us. I think he's gonna be that exact guy that we need to pair with Tyrese. Floor spacer combo guard that can also play some nice defense, and him and Tyrese are gonna benefit great from each other. You know, he picked the number 00. Of course, Tyrese wears number 0, so people are already making jokes about that. Let's ask Tyler, because before the draft, you were very skeptical on how the Pacers would handle the draft. But what do you think now?
I honestly like the draft from top to bottom. I like how we picked an episode with Benedict Mathurin. And I really liked how we did the second round as well. Like, we traded up to get Kendall Brown, which I think was an absolute steal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We also got...
it was an absolute...
We also got Nemhard, who is kind of like a Brogdon-type player, but, a little bit younger. Of course, he's 22 entering the draft. What do you think of our 3 rookies, the guys that we ended up getting? Do you think, of course, Matherin's going to make a good impact right off the gate, but what do you think of the 2 second-rounders?
I think they will really good selections. I mean, I think, obviously, they'll probably be in the C League for most of the year, but I feel like if we decide to give them the bench keys to trade McConnell away and trade, the vets we have away, it opens the spot for them. I think that could really show what they could really do. And I just really like Name-Hawk's game. Like, he's like a boxing player, like you said. So...
Yeah, I mean, he's also kind of like Brogdon in the way that he's got that leadership off the court, because we had just traded Brogdon. I'll get to that in a second. We need one of those, like, young leaders on our team because, of course, we are going into a rebuild. And Nemhard being 22, he's a pretty old rookie, so hopefully he can bring some leadership that we need, some locker room presence, of course. Dom actually didn't know who the fuck I was talking about when I mentioned Andrew Nemhard, but I'm hoping he knows now.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
Let's not talk about that.
Okay. He was
very
focusing
forgettable name.
Focusing more on Max Christie and Sharif O'Neal.
Okay.
Another
thing
about the draft was that we were anticipating a Brogdon trade. Me and actually all of the Pacers fan base, most of the NBA's fan base, they were anticipating Malcolm Brogdon getting traded around, like, I'd say the 9th or 10th pick. There were talks from the Wizards and the Knicks to trade for Brogdon. Ultimately, nothing went through. Brogdon ended up just staying with Indiana through the draft, which is kind of unfortunate, as I'm going to get into the trade later. But I was hoping we could snag around like a 12th or 11th pick in the draft and maybe get like an A.J. Griffin, because he did fall in the draft. Maybe like an A.J. Griffin, a Jalen Duren type player. But the past is in the past. I like our haul. So I like our haul of rookies so far, and of course the guys we picked up as undrafted free agents. Speaking of free agency, let's get into what happened, what the Indiana Pacers have done so far. First, we got to get to the elephant in the room, the Malcolm Brogdon trade. Now, on the surface, it looks pretty underwhelming. I mean, it's basically Malcolm Brogdon traded to the Boston Celtics for the 2023 first-round pick, which is top 12 protected. Aaron Nesmith, Daniel Tice, and a bunch of bench mob players that won't be a factor. Looking at this trade initially, I was kind of disappointed, but I mean, here's the way I think of it. Aaron Nesmith, the main player that we got in the trade, he's not the main part of the trade, nor is he the secondary part of the trade. The main part of the trade was the 2023 first-round draft pick that we got that will most likely be going to us, as the protection probably won't matter, as the Celtics definitely won't be in the lottery next year, barring catastrophic results.
See, that's the reason. That's the reason I have to be the devil's advocate and say, I really didn't enjoy that pick, and I still hate that pick, or I still hate the trade. and the pick because everybody told me like the Celtics were probably the only deal that you could get, but like first of all, I would have loved if we would have pushed for a pre-draft during draft trade.
I feel you
for
on
a pick
that.
because I definitely could I definitely could have I would have been on board with us trading him to like Washington Wizards kind of team because they need a combo guard who can also defend to put next to Bradley Beal. So I would have loved if we would have sent him there. But sending him to Boston, a team whose pick is probably going to be pick 30, pick 29, and then not getting really any significant young assets like on top of that kind of pissed me off. I get where it's coming from. It's going to be a deep draft next year. It's going to be a good draft, and we're going to probably draft like a really good player who can play in the rotation, and I'm fine with that. But I also think that there could have been better trades that we didn't pursue. So.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that part. I do agree that we probably could have gotten something better if we had traded him before. But, I mean, all things considered, for a post-draft trade with a contending team that's not looking to give up many rotation players, it's not the worst thing in the world. The main thing in that trade was obviously the draft pick. Secondary thing was freeing up cap space and giving Halliburton the keys to the offense. Of course, he's going to be the lone starting point guard with Mathurin in the backcourt as shooting guard. We've been wanting that ever since we traded for Halliburton, and now we're finally going to get a whole season of Halliburton running the show at point guard and seeing what he can do.
Hopefully an aggressive Halliburton too.
I do think he's going to be very aggressive because I think with Brogdon gone and with the incentive that, all right, we're not trying to win games this year. We're just trying to, give the young guys some run and have some fun. So maybe we'll see like some 30, 40-point, hopefully a couple 40-point nights from Halliburton because I think he has that in him. And I think he's shown that before, even in Sacramento, alongside De'Aaron Fox.
I don't think I mean I still remember that 38-point game prior to him being traded.
Exactly.
Bring that up because I definitely think he has several of those in his back pocket. But trading Hield especially because Hield took a shit ton of shots away from him last year. So trading Hield, trading Brogdon, that's going to be really good for Tyrese's development. And
Absolutely,
I think if we do give him complete keys, I think he can be a first-time All-Star.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely possible. What do you think, Tyler?
Okay, I like that trade for the Celtics. Obviously, they got a sixth man and Malcolm Brogdon who can develop and be a key pawn to their offense with the bench role. But I like it for us somewhat because we got Aaron Neesmith.
Tyler, before we get to that, do you have the Celtics making the finals?
Yeah, I have the Celtics making it into the finals again.
Okay. All right, continue.
I have the Celtics making it into the finals again, and I just feel like Malcolm Brogdon would be one of the key pieces off the bench for him and all that. But speaking of the players we got, Daniel Theis, I mean, he could be a good backup for us, but I mean, we're not going to keep him on to him.
He's getting bought out.
He's either A, going to get bought out, or B, going to get traded now or at the deadline.
I think he already got bought out, actually.
Oh, did he?
I'm pretty sure.
Did not know.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Anyways, continue.
Okay. I know I'm high on Aaron Neesmith. I've been high on him for a while. I just feel like he could be a really key contributor for us on the bench. Obviously, he won't get as much minutes as I want him to be, but I think he could still be a solid bench player for us.
Yeah, I mean, going back to that, the thing with Aaron Neesmith is that we don't need him to be great for this trade to be a home run because with Neesmith, I see it as if he plays well, then that's great. We got a diamond in the rough again. Same with Jalen Smith. I've heard some of the things that I heard about Jalen Smith. I've heard about Aaron Neesmith in the past couple of days. He's had injury issues with his foot ever since he got drafted. Really, it's been residuals from his injury, And it's also some mental problems. I've heard that in Boston, he wasn't really that great with the crowd around him, and I think a lot of that was due to the pressure of coming in playing for a contender right away, as Boston was last year. So obviously he is gonna not perform very well, but I think in a new setting, in a place like Indiana, being mentored by guys like Buddy Hield for however long we have him on the team for, but being mentored by guys like that in a new setting with more minutes obviously than you got in Boston, and with a fresh start, a clean slate, where basically it's like we're not trying to win games, just at this point just show us what you got. Really show us if you deserve to be here for the rebuild. I think he's gonna do well. I genuinely think he's gonna do. I'm hoping for around 8 points a game for him. If we get more, that's great. If we get less, it's whatever. But again, he's not the main part of that trade. The main part of that trade is the cap space, giving Tyrese the keys and that draft pick. But I like Aaron Nesmith. I think he's going to be a decent 3-and-D guy for us, and I don't think he's as bad as a lot of people say he is. Anyways, speaking of Jalen Smith, Dom, tell us, because you've been advocating for this for a while. Tell us about Jalen Smith.
So yeah, a lot of teams have been looking at Jalen Smith. I think it was for nothing. We were obviously scared that he was going to leave, but we got to retain Jalen Smith for 2 years, a little bit more than 4
2 years, it was $9 million. It was $9 million a year.
Which is honestly a lot. I thought we could only pay him like $3 million a year. So that's honestly, and we have him for 2 years. He can definitely get paid back after the next year, but he signed a decent contract for 2 years, which is insane. And we get to keep him for 2 years. Hopefully, I think it's pretty much clear that he's going to get a bigger contract either from us or a different team. I mean, he's an amazing player. He's usually not too injury prone, and I'm really glad that we were able to retain him. So.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Smith is basically the perfect player for this rebuild. I mean, a guy that was cast off in Phoenix didn't get much playing time. When he got playing time, he showed promise, kind of like Aaron Nesmith right now. He was lost in the rotation, drafted a bit early, I guess. I mean, definitely drafted by the wrong team. I don't know why Phoenix picked him, but was a project player, came to Indiana, got extended playing time, started a few games, and he's just been amazing ever since he stepped foot in whatever the hell the court's called now. What's it called? Gainsbridge? Yeah, Gainsbridge Fieldhouse.
Gainsbridge.
Yeah. Ever since he started playing there, he's been amazing, and he's been sought after by a lot of teams, especially the Brooklyn Nets. They've all wanted him. The Raptors have shown interest in him, but thankfully Indiana managed to get Jalen back. He's made it pretty clear that he likes the culture around here, the memes that the fans have made, and I think that was a big part in getting him back. And hopefully he'll be here for the long run. I think after these 2 years, after his next contract expires, I think he will re-up with us, hopefully, because at that point we've already have gotten our 2023 draft picks. They'd have played their rookie years, and we would be in a definitive direction on where we're going next. I absolutely love this re-signing, and I hope he's here for the long run. Tyler, what do you think?
I absolutely love the signing, the contract he got. I thought he was going to leave and get it back somewhere else, honestly. I had a bad feeling that he was going to leave us from the beginning of it. And I just love the signing we had with him and love the contracts we gave him. I love that he came back.
Yeah, I mean, it's very surprising that he did come back. I mean, even though he did say he liked the team. Yeah, of course, he's been amazing. I guess we told him that he'd have a big role here in Indiana, and I'm hoping he does. I'm really hoping he does, because I'll get into that later on. We told him he'd have a big role here in Indiana. He wants to be part of this team, acquainted with the players. Him and Tyrese have had a great connection. He's the exact kind of player we need in this era, 3-and-D big man that can, play three positions, athletic as hell, can shoot the three, great defender, good rim protector. great guy to start if, say, Miles gets traded or even come off the bench if something happens that I'm going to talk about in the future. But again, love the Jalen Smith signing. Brogdon trade is decent. Love our draft picks. Now let's get on to what else we have to do in free agency. Going into what our plans are in the rest of the offseason, we have to bring up T.J. Warren. Currently, T.J. Warren is a free agent. He hasn't played basketball since he played the first 4 games of the 2020-21 season. After that, he hasn't played. Basically, been 2 full seasons. He hasn't played since around December of 2020, which has been basically a year and a half. When he did play, he was pretty good, of course, in the bubble and afterwards. But hasn't played in 2 years. At this point, he's still unsigned, and I don't know what his next move is. But there have been talks around the fan base of that he should return on a maybe a 2-year deal for like $10 million a year, $5 million a year on a prove-it deal. There have also been talks that he might sign with a contending team to help to bring some spark off the bench or even in the starting lineup. I've been an advocate for we should bring him back and we should let him prove it, see how good he's going to be off injury. I've been a huge fan of T.J. Warren. He was my favorite player in Indiana around that bubble time, when he exploded for 53 points against the Sixers and had that 39 against the Lakers in the game winner. Still have his jersey hanging on my wall. But I know a lot of Pacers fans think different. I think they've said that we should sign and trade him. We should just let him walk, accelerate the rebuild. I don't see what hurts in giving him another contract, letting him play for us. But I want to know, what do you guys think? What do you think, Dom?
About T.J. Warren?
Yeah.
I think we should sign him for like nothing more than a 1-year deal. Like if it was a 1-year deal, I would be pretty cool with it. But like 2 years is kind of like investing too much in a player that you haven't seen in almost 3 years. And then a 1 year like sizable T.J. Warren ish contract, 1 year, $10 million. I would definitely understand giving him that kind of money.
Yeah, I mean it's a low risk, high reward thing because if he does great, then that's great. He's gonna ball out and he's gonna get a bag with another team. If we don't re-sign him, then it's whatever. He can help he can help a contending team go for that title. I mean, there have been talks of him maybe going to the Hornets, Lakers, whatever. I mean, I think he fits on basically any team because he's a fantastic scorer, can score on all 3 levels. His defense is serviceable, but his main calling card is scoring off the ISO, off the catch. He's a bucket, basically. He's very efficient, and I think any team would like to have him. Oh, what do you think, Tyler?
I honestly think, I'm one of the people who think we should do, a 1+1. Have a prove-it deal with second, it'll be a team option. If he does good, pick up the team option, go from there. But if he does bad, it's Foco the team option to let walk.
Exactly. That's exactly what I think. I mean, I don't think he'd be opposed to that. I think he knows what his value is right now. That's why he hasn't signed anywhere. I think he's waiting for Indiana to let him know what's good, and after that, he's gonna basically weigh his options, and we'll go from there. I don't think that he's gonna be bad coming back from injury. I obviously don't think he's gonna be back to averaging 20 a game, but I think maybe in Indiana he could average 12, 14 a game. For a contender, he could average 15 a game. Just filling that gap of scoring and shooting where it's needed. And I wish him the best. I've been wanting to see him back on the court ever since he got hurt, and I hope he can at least play on opening night for whatever team he is on in the 2023 season upcoming. Going past that, we got one final topic we need to talk about Pacers wise, and that's the possibility of trading for DeAndre Ayton. Now, ever since the offseason started, we've been making some noise about trading for Ayton. the possibilities been brought up. We've been thinking of trading Miles for him. We've been thinking of signing him straight up. Now, with the Brogdon trade having happened and us opening 10 more million of cap space, we have enough room for a max slot, which is most likely what Ayton is going to get. There have been talks of a 3-team deal with the Nets and the Suns, where they would get Miles Turner, the Nets would get, I'm assuming Bridges or something, and in Indiana would get DeAndre Ayton on the new deal that he's going to work out. I'm not too sure about that. I'm not opposed to the idea of having Ayton in Indiana. I've liked him for a while. I think if we did have him on Indiana, that would be great as a pick-and-roll guy for Tyrese. And, a double-double guy that he's still pretty young. I mean, he's only, let me see how old he is.
23.
Yeah, he's
23, yeah.
He's 23 years old. He's a pretty decent pretty decent player for what he is now and what he might be in the future. I think he has a decently high ceiling. He's shown a lot of promise in Phoenix, and I think if we were to go to Indiana, he would definitely be he definitely has potential to be like a 2010 guy with 2 blocks a game. He's a fantastic scorer inside the paint, and his rim protecting is amazing. But there have been some questions about how he'd fit in with Indiana's plan to lose games this upcoming season. If getting him and losing Miles would be smart cap-wise. If Jalen Smith would be happy, if he would have to back up Ayton again, how that would deal with Isaiah Jackson's development. It's been a whole bunch of questions. I could go either way on here. I wouldn't be mad if we got Ayton. I wouldn't be mad if we didn't get Ayton. I just want to know your guys' thoughts. What do you think, Dom?
I would be cool with Ayton. Obviously, at first when it came up that we made enough space for him, I was like, fuck yeah, let's bring on Ayton. At the same time, it's tanked for Wembanyama. Exactly. Every team's trying to do it. The Spurs are trying to do it.
The Spurs
it's tanked for Wembanyama all the way.
The Spurs tank has just been straight up nasty. Their best player is either Keldon Johnson or Jakob Poeltl. They are serious in that.
Yeah. So I honestly don't care either way. DeAndre Ayton's obviously a great player. I think he would make us ironically, really good, or not really good. I think we'd be like a 30+ win team with DeAndre Ayton. But either way, I mean, I'd be fine with whatever the front office has made really, good decisions, and I'm slowly learning to trust Kevin Pritchard and everybody in that front office room. So whatever they do, I got to put faith in them.
Exactly. I mean, speaking of Kevin Pritchard, I mean, I've had this guy's trust ever since that Halliburton deal has been made, and ever since that deal has been made, every single time him or Chad Buchanan or whoever, or even Rick Carlisle have been interviewed, they're like, yeah, it's gonna take a while for us to be good, but ownership and the front office, the players are with us all the way. They know how long. They know it's going to be a work in progress, which basically means it's not a retool. This is a full-on rebuild, which Indiana fans have been crying for since 2020, or even beforehand, because this is, I believe, the first rebuild that Indiana's ever had. I mean, I wouldn't count 2009 to 2011 where we got Paul George, because George was a late lottery pick and we were still trying to compete with Danny Granger and everybody at the time. I wouldn't count the 2020-21 because we were in the playoff picture, lost in the play-in, got the final lottery pick and got Duarte. I wouldn't count that. I'd say the 2021-22 season was the first year where we actually have decided to rebuild, and I think next year we're going to go all in on that rebuild. I don't know how long it's going to take. I hope we're the worst team in the NBA next year, because that would obviously give us the best odds for the number 1 pick. I'm not sure what a lot of the older Pacers fans are not too sure about that. They're a bit concerned that the culture is being messed up, which I don't really care about. But I'm all for the rebuild. I don't know how Ayton is going to affect that. I hope that he becomes our new tank commander. For a reason or two, I feel like he won't. But I don't see anything against having him on the team. Of course, I do want Wembanyama, But if that fails, the draft class this upcoming year is incredibly loaded. We're of course gonna have probably another top 10 pick. We're gonna have our around 15 to 20th pick with the Cavs pick that we have, and we're gonna have like a 25 to 30 pick with the Celtics pick. So even if we get Ayton and we don't do terrible this upcoming year, it's not the end of the world. But on the flip side, I would rather have the best chance to get a guy like Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, or someone along those lines. I haven't gotten your opinion yet, Tyler. What do you think?
Honestly, like the beginning of free agency, I would love DeAndre Ayton. Like I think it'd be a perfect fit. I mean, yeah, we free up cap space for him, but now I'm just on the trade Miles Turner for a bad contract, expiring contract, a nice ass pick, maybe more, and then go from there. Like give the keys to Isaiah Saxon and Shane Lisman for the 4 and 5. Don't mess it up, Aiden. Like, yeah, obviously Aiden would be fun with the pick and roll with Tyrese Halliburton and all, but at the same time, I would just love to give the keys to Shayla Smith, Isaiah Saxon, give Myers Turner to Gatino for a couple picks and a young player.
I have to get. Yeah, that's my next topic. So I think we're all on board. Getting Ayton isn't the worst thing in the world, but you'd rather not have him because you want to get those top draft picks next year. Going forward, another topic I have. This might be the last topic Pacers-wise, but yeah, Miles Turner's still on the team. And to a lot of people, that's kind of surprising because he's been in trade talks since, like, I'd say 2019, really, after that sweep in the Celtics series. He's been in trade talks ever since then. Every year he's managed to stay on the team, avoid trade talks. This has been a kind of weird year. He started off decent. He got hurt. I think he hurt his hand. What did he hurt? Did he hurt his hand? Let me see.
I don't know. He hurt something. I think it was his wrist.
I think so. Let me check Basketball Reference. Okay, Basketball Reference doesn't have his injury. Let me look this up. It was his foot. It was his foot. So Turner's had a problem in his foot since I believe January 14th in a game against the Suns. In that time, since that injury and today, it's been around, I'd say, half a year, 6 months. A lot of shit has happened. Indiana basically decided we're not going for the 2022 playoffs. We're going to tank. Of course, the big blockbuster deal with Domantas Sabonis being traded for basically Tyrese Halliburton happened, which freed up the lone center spot for Miles Turner to operate on, which is something people have been asking for years now, ever since Sabonis broke out. People have had complaints about Turner, and the number one rebuttal is wait till he gets the lone center spot. He's been amazing without Sabonis. One of them needs to get traded to see how good they really are. Of course, he hasn't played at all since January. He hasn't played with Tyrese Halliburton. He hasn't played with any of the new guys. So it's been a bit weird for him. There have been talks about trading him. Apparently, they said that they're not going to trade him. Then they said they might trade him. It's been really up and down. But my opinion on Turner is that I think he's a very good player, and I think keeping him at least until the All-Star break would be the smart thing to do, because you want to at least see how good he is with the lone center position. Now, of course, I know Jalen Smith and Isaiah Jackson, they need minutes. O'Shea, obviously, forgot about him. We accepted his team option, of course. But I think with Miles most likely being ready for opening night, I think it wouldn't hurt to keep him on the team at least until the deadline, because right now his value is pretty weird. He hasn't played since January, so his value is not that high, and he's upcoming for an extension. So he's up for an extension. I believe this is the last year of his contract coming up. What I would do, I would keep Turner until the deadline, then look to see what we can get for him. But that's my take on it. I mean, if they trade him now, I wouldn't be too pissed. If they wait, I'd be happier, obviously, because we could get something better for him. But I need your guys' opinion. Dom, what do you think?
Honestly do believe in giving him that run. Obviously, it kind of hurts Isaiah Jackson and Jalen Smith because you want those to be like the primary forward center duo. But at the same time, giving Miles, that little bit of run and maximizing his value. Because right now his value is as low as it can be. Nobody really, people really they talk about the idea of Miles Turner versus what he actually is, and I think that's so disrespectful because he's been like our defensive anchor like for since he's been drafted. So and I honestly think he can prove that when and if he's still on this team next year. It's just a matter of time.
Exactly. I mean, I'd hope he, what's it called? I hope he proves everyone wrong because with people saying the idea of Miles is better than what Miles really is kind of redundant because Miles Turner has been at this point his what people think he is basically nothing. Like people think he's a fringe starter at best. I've seen that take from some people. So I think he's definitely will prove some people wrong this upcoming year, whether that be for the Pacers, whether that be for some other team. Of course, I want to see what he does as the lone center in Indiana. We can trade him off at the deadline if we want to, but I want to see him prove some people wrong. What about you, Tyler?
Honestly, I feel like I want to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to see how from now until the deadline. Like if we can't get a contract extension done by the deadline, I just sip him off. His value's gonna be at his highest at that point. I just feel like that would be the smaller move than trading him in the next few days for Aiden. I feel like we just keep him around, help him develop Isaiah Jackson and Shayla Smith, and then once deadline comes around, sip him off, and then get a good ass pick or two and all that.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I think his trade value would be better off around the deadline where people see what he's been like without bonus and they can get a better idea of who he is when he's not injured because his durability has been a question the past few years, but I think he is on track to prove a lot of people wrong. With that being said, are there really any other topics we can talk about Pacers wise? I think we've talked about everything.
We talked about Matherin, talked about the draft. Summer League is on when?
Our
Tuesday, Thursday?
Our summer league starts on the 8th, which is let me check. That is Friday. That is this upcoming Friday.
Tuesday.
Our
Thursday.
summer
Friday?
league starts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I absolutely cannot wait until our game. Where is it? Is it on NBA TV or what is it on?
I think it's on.
It's on ESPN.
Oh, it's on ESPN.
I
Oh,
think
okay.
I don't know if they like pick and choose or not.
Oh well, that's great. That's great. I'm definitely gonna be watching. I can't wait to see how our young guys fare. You know, hopefully the Brogdon trade will be done by then. We can see what Aaron Nesmith is like. Obviously Matherin. I think Duarte is gonna play in the summer league, but I mean, besides that, I mean, I am after the draft and after what little of free agency has been done so far. I am very optimistic for the future of this team. I mean. Obviously, next season isn't going to be the best win-wise, but it's going to be very fun to watch. This is actually the first season in years that I can actually say I'm going to watch every game that I can watch. And hopefully I'm going to be going to a couple games. You know, I don't live in Indiana, but of course Atlanta can go to a Hawks game. Shout out to them. They got DeJounte Murray. But very excited to see what Indiana does this, weeks leading up to the regular season starting, and of course leading up to the All-Star break and going up to next year's draft and free agency. Because then, at that time, I feel like the trajectory of this team is really going to be decided on how good they're going to be going into the future, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and I think we can really gauge not the importance, but I think we can really gauge the effectiveness of all the trades we've made and all the signings we've made in a year from now. Obviously, we can't predict the future, but I think the future is looking pretty bright, and I think if things go to plan, then Indiana will be one of the better teams in the league going forward. Obviously, we're not that great now, but I think in the future we're definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think a lot of fans and a lot of teams, a lot of people that haven't been paying attention to Indiana because of how small of a market they are, I think they're going to have to take notice, very soon, next maybe 3-4 years. But I believe that's all for now. That's all for now in this episode. There are a couple other free agency signings that happened. Obviously, Kyrie might get traded and whatnot. Jalen Brunson, of course. But all that we can talk about another time. This has been the NBA draft and free agency so far episode of the Pacing Forward podcast. We're probably gonna start doing questions again next couple weeks. So make sure to stay tuned for that. If you have anything to ask us, you can obviously ask me or Dom on Twitter. But until then, thank you to Tyler for taking the time to be on the podcast. Anything you want to promote right now, Tyler? Go ahead.
No, I'm good. I just say thank you for letting me get on and talk Pacers, Bowl, and draft.
Yeah. I mean, we've wanted a Pacers fan on the podcast for a while. I think you're the second one we've had, and really appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, happy 4th of July, which is it's 11:38. It's about to be 4th of July in actually like 20 minutes from now. We will see you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care. See you guys.